everyone, Susie here, and I garden in Minnesota, Zone 4B, and finally I'm going to be starting my winter sowing. It is the end of February and the temps look pretty good. They're at least staying the same and not this fluctuation, so I feel a little bit better that way. So I'm doing a few different ways here, and I kind of changed up this way that I'm doing it. So I have this big bin right here. I have drilled holes, if you can see, right here in the sides for just airflow, ventilation, and then also the bottom for drainage holes. So when I go to water, it can drain out. And then I also have a lid. I'm not concerned about moving that sticker off. So there's that. And I decided that I'm gonna do this. I had to cut a little bit of this plastic to make it fit in there. That was only just a little bit. It barely fit, but it buckled, so I had to do that. So I just lost 3 cells here. That's not too bad. And so this gives me, what did I count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times 5, that's 35 plants in here. And it's pretty deep, and this is just, I've had this forever, and I normally use this for sweet peas because it's a little bit deeper, but I don't need this many sweet peas. And I'm still kind of on the fence about doing them, but so in here, I just have it sitting in this cover for now for, you know, when I make a mess. But I filled it with pre-moistened potting mix. It's sterilized. There's no fertilizer in it. And when I went to fill the cells, I did push it down a little bit just to make sure that it's in there firmly. I was afraid with the bottom of these that soil would come out, but it's doing pretty good. I did go ahead, all I did is I numbered them, just basically 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm gonna be doing 3 rows of one kind of flower and then 2 rows of another. And I kind of debated what I wanted more of. So in the first 3 here, number 1, I'm gonna go with the Orlea. And they're pretty big seeds. So not too bad. So I'm just gonna set them on the top now, and I'm just doing, I think 1. If half of them come up, I'll be okay with that. I don't need that many, but I'm more interested in the Orlea than some of the other flowers here. I don't know. I'll think about it. I've got a lot of seeds, but I also wanted to keep some back just in case if this didn't work, and I'm thinking I could just direct sow these into either a container or somewhere in my garden. Not quite sure yet. It's kind of nice when you get to work with the bigger seeds and when you work with such small ones for most of them. That was a nice size one. Yeah, finally the temps, I think. The lows are going to be in the teens for the most part, but none of the negative Fahrenheit digits, which is what I was more concerned about, and the highs are going to be in the mid 30s to high 20s. Make sure I have all of these seeds. Did I put one in here? I did. All right, I'm gonna put this back. So it's not a bad amount. I'm just gonna kind of press them in lightly into the, actually I think I'm gonna press them. I was debating if I wanted to use vermiculite, but I think I'm just gonna go with the potting mix with this. So I'm just barely covering. Oops, I could probably double time it here. I don't get too concerned about the depth. Because I think the package said a 1/16 of an inch. I'm very little, but all right, those 3 are done. And then the next one I'm gonna do will be a larkspur. And I've never grown the Orlea or the larkspur, so this is new for me. Not many seeds in this pack. I mean, it's not horrible, but again, I might keep a little bit back. I will try and do just 1 in each one. I'm thinking maybe I should do 2, just in case. I think we're gonna leave it. I'm gonna go with my gut because these are quick to bloom. It says 65 to 70 days. So this is something where I could probably even direct sow these if they don't come up and still have enough time to enjoy a few blooms. All right, these I'm just gonna push them. Hopefully I know where they're at. So I'm just gonna lightly firm them down. All right, and I'm just gonna take this and give them a really good water. I did start with the pre-moistened potty mix, but you definitely want to do this because moisture activates the seed pretty much. They need that wet to get going. Never want your seeds to dry out, then it stops that germination process. All right, I'm just gonna do a little more. This might seem much, but when I put it in the bin here, I'm gonna put it outside then and probably check on them in a few days just to make sure that there's enough moisture. All right, I think that's good for now. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna set it in the bin, and then I'm gonna go on to the next way I'm sowing, or winter sowing. All right, so another way that I'm doing it, which is different for me this year, and I'm going this route with the yogurt containers. I like to save the plastic and reuse it. And that is kind of what winter sowing is also about, is reusing what you have for plastic. And the only reason why I'm doing this and I'm doing things a little bit differently is I'm running out of these containers, and I'm saving these for all the seeds I'm starting indoors. So I'm still saving all of these, and we'll probably have to use some later for my indoor sowing also. But with this, I just need to make sure there's a drainage hole. So I'm using this. It was my dad's, and a subscriber said that it's an AWL, so AWL. So I'm just gonna be careful so you don't, I had my hand like that one time and I poked through, so be careful. So it's gonna be a little loud. And to me, this works great for this. So I'm just making sure that it's a good hole and the plastic didn't come back and cover that hole up. So that's it for that. And then in this bucket here, I just have a pre-moistened potting mix. So for this, I'm just gonna fill the container. And what I like to do is get a good amount, and that first fill, I kind of push it down. I mean, don't smack down, but it just kind of packs it in there so there's no air pockets and you have a good amount. So I just take it and then kind of smooth it out. but just make sure it's nice and firm in there, because sometimes with potting mixes is if you don't do that, they will settle. And this will settle eventually when I keep watering it, but at least this way I know it's nice and full of good potting mix. And so then I'll put this over here. So every one of these has a drainage hole, and I'm putting in this bin. Again, there's holes that I drilled just for air circulation, and then also in the bottom. I'm not doing in the top of the cover because honestly, when it rains or snows, I don't want all of that going in here, because it's just gonna go on top of certain seeds and probably disperse them. I'm gonna be in charge of the watering, which I have to be really good about. So there's that, but I'm gonna try and adjust the camera so you can see what I'm doing in here, because I don't feel like taking these back out. One moment. Okay, so in here I have them all in here, and I have them labeled just by numbers. I figure it'll be a lot easier. I'm hoping that they're readable still by the middle of May. And then I have it just kind of written over here what they're instead of the whole name. So I'm doing 2 rows of one kind. So I'm going to have 3 different varieties in here. So the first 2 rows I'm going to be doing is, and all these are going to have poppies in them. And this is just the giant peony mix. I've never grown poppies before. And most of the varieties that I've chosen for winter sowing are ones that don't like their roots disturbed or can handle the cold or don't transplant well. And poppy seeds are really tiny, so this is where I'm just gonna sprinkle them on. When I get germination is I will go in and then thin to the strongest plant. So I'm probably dropping like 5 or 6 seeds in each one. Not on purpose, it just happens when things are so tiny. All right, that's it for that one. And then the next one is, it is called Poppy Pepper Box. There's a lot of seeds. Holy cow. A lot. This will last a long time. Can you see that? And these might be something too. If I can get out into my garden beds, I might try some direct sowing also. But with Minnesota, sometimes it's just the seasons. Sometimes I don't get much of a spring. It just goes right into summer. So one day you're wearing a coat, and then the next day you're wearing a short sleeve shirt. So it's just kind of strange. I mean, it would be nice to kind of have a mild winter leading into spring. And then this next one is a perennial, and there's no picture in this one. It's Pizzicato Oriental Poppy. And it's in this, you know, it's even tinier. Come on. How many seeds are in here? Oh, it says 100 seeds in this little package here. Pretty much all of them are in my hand. Just have to be careful so I don't get any into the other cells. All right, good on that. So I'm just gonna go through and kind of lightly firm. The only thing is I don't want to pick up seeds and get them into the next one. And I'll do that hand. Oops. Oh, that's good. If I find any big hunks, I'll just remove them. All right, then after that, I'm just gonna lightly sprinkle some vermiculite on top of this. I didn't the other ones because the seeds were pretty big and I could cover them with soil, kind of know where they're at, but all right, so then I'm gonna finish watering these in and then I'll show you another way that I'm doing this. Hi everyone, so I have to split my winter sowing video up into 2 parts. It got a little bit long, I was having some technical difficulties, so hopefully you enjoy this first part of winter sowing and you stay tuned for the second one. Bye for now.